Hi everyone, welcome to monthly project number 11, and this month we did video game fan art, which is one of my favorite things to do. You've probably seen everything I've done before, and it's just a real passion of mine, so this is a really big deal for me. I love this project and I can't wait to dive into it. So let's get into it a bit. So here are all of your submissions for this month. There's some really cool fan art here. I love seeing all this. We've got Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, Batman from Arkham Knight. There's just so much here. Miles Morales, that's awesome. And yeah, it's so cool. So thank you all for submitting. And yeah, let's get into them one by one and have a closer look. First off, I'd like to congratulate our winner for the free critique, Matthew, with this awesome Batman Arkham Knight picture. It's so cool, and I just couldn't pass it up. It was a really hard decision because there's so many great entries, but yeah, this one I just couldn't pass it up. I really like the setup, the action pose, and it's just, yeah, it's really intense. So we're going to start with Pashik, and this is a really cool one from Atomic Heart. So you've done this video game character here. Let's have a look. This is really nice execution on all this work here. Like, look how clean this is. I actually really like how the background's blurred out a little bit, out of focus, because it just really makes this look super crisp. Yeah, really nice work on this. Your style is just so clean, very nice, very appealing to look at as well. Such nice detail. So you've done an amazing job on that. Thanks for the submission. Next up, we've got Phoenix. So have a look at this. Big Boss. One of my favorite games too. One of my favorite video games. Love it all. Oh, this looks great. Really well drawn, and the technical side of it as well. Like, you've really done some nice line work. The rendering is spot on. I love this. Kind of makes me want to do one now. I really want to draw Big Boss. Yeah, good game. All right, thanks for that, Phoenix. Awesome stuff. Now we've got Sai, and I don't know how you do it, Sai, but you've got 3 submissions in the 1 month, and not just basic submissions. You've done full pieces. It's insane. I really don't know how you do it, but let's have a look. We'll start with Call of Duty here. Yeah, really nice. That's a cool full setup you've got going on there. Really nice one. Dragon's Lair. That's a bit of a throwback. That's a good one. I like the cartoony look you've got with the dragon. Really nice face. I really like that. And Lego Batman. That's a really nice, energetic picture. I love that pose. So, yeah, well done, Sai. I love these. And, yeah, I don't know how you do it. So keep it up. And next up is Ty. And have a look at this. This was a really close one for the critique. You nearly got it. It was such a hard decision. I actually sat there for about 20 minutes, could not decide. So very close, because this is amazing work. And yeah, from a distance, it looks like hyper realistic. It looks like it's straight out of, you know, a video game or realistic even. So it's really well done, and you're very close. I just think you're an amazing artist. So that's really good. And this is from the video game Nier Automata. I think it's called Nier. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. I'm really proud of you for that. I think that's a really good piece. So well done. And next up is Paul's submission. You've done The Last of Us Part 2. And here's Ellie. One of my favorite games. Absolutely love this game series. And yeah, you've done a really good job. I like the face. I like the way it's all drawn. You've done a really good job of these lines. The colors are nice. You've done a good job. I think this is great. You've got some nice textures in there as well. All right, thanks, Paul. And we've got John's submission here. This is cool. Uncharted 4. And I love this pose. I saw it through Discord. We've been working on this through the month. It just screams Nathan Drake. Like, you know, it's really energetic. It's kicking forward. You got a little bit of foreshortening in it. Yeah, lots of energy. Even the tread in the boots, everything. So it's just nice to see that you're not holding back. You're really, you know, you're trying to push it. So, yeah, well done. I love that, John. You've done a really good job. Next is Craig's submission, and this is from Final Fantasy. So, but this is really cool. You've done an entire picture. Look at this, the background and everything. And I know you spent all that time in that background. I saw it in Discord. You were showing us updates. You actually drew the entire cityscape. All of it, so you should be really proud of yourself for that. Nice action poses here. That's a really good clash too, so it's a really nice piece. Thanks, Craig. Next is Andrew, and you've done Aloy From Horizon Zero Dawn, one of my fave games too. I've been playing a lot of that recently, actually. This is really good. You've done such a nice, you've got a really nice style going for that realism, but it's also like a very painted look. And I can really appreciate that. I think it's great. You got some really nice details through this. Yeah, you're an awesome artist, so keep it up. I love what you do. And that's a really good looking Aloy, so thank you. Next up is Patrick, and you've done a Zelda piece here. Maybe it's a build up to the new Zelda that I'm really looking forward to as well. Yeah, you've got a nice composition here. I like how that's kind of curls up and around. And then you've got our two main people. You've got Zelda and Link leaping forward. Yeah, good job, Patrick. I think that's great. That's awesome. And I'm looking forward to the new game. And next we've got Dominic. Look at this. Check this out. Very energetic. And yeah, I really like all these colors that you've added in, because that's very much like the Miles Morales game. Very like all the neon colors and things like that. You've even got the snow effect coming through. Yeah, this is really nice. A lot of energy in this as well. A lot of energy. I really like the electricity that you've got going up through there. Very clean. Very, very clean as well. So, yeah. Well done on all this. I think that's great. Really good looking Miles. I look forward to seeing more from you. And next is Darren. We got a cool Tomb Raider piece here. Really like this. That's a nice drawing too. Really nice full body piece there. Nice pose. I really like that. Some nice Tomb Raider fan art there. That's really good, Darren. Thank you for your submission. And next up is Anthony. You've submitted this one here. Sorry, I'm not quite sure what the character is. It wasn't mentioned. But it really, yeah, this looks good. I like the energy and the colors that you've got going through this blade here. Nice neon kind of colors. It looks really nice. So, yeah, no, this looks good. That's a really nice, well-drawn female there. I like that. Thanks, Anthony. And next up, we've got William's submission. He's done Akuma from Street Fighter. This is cool. Check it out. Love your art style. Always love it. Yeah, this is great. This is pretty cool. I know you mentioned you were supposed to do a bit of a collab with some other guys and do a bigger Street Fighter piece, but yeah, so this is your character and the others didn't quite finish, but that's okay. It's really good to see your stuff, and that's a cool single character piece right there. So yeah, nice work, William. I love that. And next is Douglas. You've submitted this cool Zelda piece here. He's like at an arcade, the Simpsons game. Oh, I remember that game actually. That was a really cool arcade game back in the day. Yeah, this is crazy. You got a really big piece, really big one. So yeah, nice work. That's a really huge picture. A lot going on, and yeah, I love it. Good video game tribute there. Thanks. And we've got another one from Daniel. This just snuck in at the end there. Just made it. Submitted just in time. Yeah, this is crazy. Look what's going on here. You got this giant baby and UFOs. You got mummies. You got zombies. This is insane. This is huge. But that's the thing. It's a massive picture. You've done heaps. It's like an entire piece. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on, but I love it. This is good. Big video game tribute, I reckon, hey? Is that what it is? I love it. All right. Thanks for that, Daniel. That's cool. And the last submission before we get into the critiques, this one's from Aaron. And yeah, you've done Mass Effect. So this is Shepard. Really, really cool. Look at this. Really cool character. You got some really nice colors going through here. So yeah, I like that. That's really nice. I've always liked that kind of blade thing that they can have come off their arm there. So yeah, really cool. Nice work, Aaron. I like that. All right, so now it's time to dive into critiques. We're going to start with Matthew. He's the winner for this month. So you won your free critique. So congratulations again. And yeah, let's get into it. I really love this piece. The reason I chose it was because I just love the energy. I really love the technical side of it as well. Very nice and clean. Looks like a poster. You could actually see this on a wall or something like in the shops. And the background especially just blew me away. So you've spent a lot of time on this background, and I really applaud you for that. I think that's amazing. Look at this Wayne Tower up there. You've got these really nice textures through the entire character as well. And even the rain effects, like look at the rain actually splashing onto Batman himself. Now, as for critique, let's get into it a bit. It's actually really hard to critique because it's actually so well done. There's you know, you could say that this is finished now and that's great. You could show anyone and they would say the same thing. So there's really not that much to change, but what I can help you with is to help improve it, show you what we can improve on and make it even better. Now, if we have a look, I found some screenshots from the game here, and you know, you've got this same kind of thing going on, but I think what I would really like to see in yours as well is you see over here, and it's like got this nice warm colors, smoky kind of, you know, it's kind of like that. I think that would look really nice behind yours. You've got more of a bluish tone behind yours, but let's go for maybe a warmer tone and see how that looks. So what I'm going to do, I've already separated your characters, but I'm just going to try something crazy. I'm going to duplicate it, but I'm actually going to colorize this really full on. Don't worry, it's not going to stay like this. I'm going to go for some nice colors like that. There we go. Don't worry, I'm not keeping it like this. So I've just put a layer mask over it and I've filled it with black, so it's gone now, it's invisible. But that yellow color is still there. So if I get my brush now and start coloring in, you'll get to see your colorized yellow background now, and it's kind of like giving off this really nice kind of vibe there. This is a really cool technique that I like to do sometimes. So it's still using your line work, your rendering of your background, because it's all flattened. But I colorized it, and now I'm just bringing hints of it through, so little glows of it here and there, and that's gonna make it look heaps better, I reckon. So what if I did that again? Let's just try something crazy now, and I'll get maybe, let me have a look. Might get like a purple. I'm gonna go like a deep purple. And now I'm bring it back with my brush, and you can see it's gonna bring a different kind of look through. Depends where I put it, so. There we go. So I set the orange faded one to hard light, and then I've taken it down to about 70%. And I kind of like that purple over there. So basically I just wanted to add some more neon colors into it. Now I just want to do another thing. So I'm going to make a new layer and set it to linear dodge. And now I'm just going through and brushing through some more neons, but over the top of him. So I really want this to, you know, look really cool. So yeah, it's pretty good, but we don't want it too intense. I don't want it to take over. So about 60% I'm going to take it down to. I just want to see it a bit more dark and dense down this bottom corner, just a little bit. So I've just set it to multiply, and I'm just going to rub it over just a bit. Now for Batman himself, I want to show you some tricks we need just to help him pop a little bit more. Because if you just look, the side of him here and his chest just kind of it blends with his cape a little bit there. I want to separate that a little bit. And you've got these really nice neon lights that we can make the most of. So let's do that. I'm going to get your Batman, and I'm going to colorize it again. So lighten it up a bit, take it into the red, and then colorize it. But it's only a layer, so I can disable it whenever I want. Now I'm going to put that layer mask on it, fill it in with black so that it's gone. But again, when I get my brush out and I start brushing over, we're getting that red colorized one back. Right, so that you've got this red on the side here that's really beaming up at him. So let's make the side of him a nice neon red. But the main thing I wanted to do was up the side of the chest here. So have that neon kind of really beaming up. So it's on his armor, it's coming off his armor. And don't forget to go fine details. So I've sized my brush right down now, and now I'm just revealing only finer little details. Yeah, there we go. So with that red highlight, I think that works quite well. Let me just have a look at the original. So before I did any changes, and then after. So before and then after, and what that's doing, that back glow, is kind of really making your character pop out more. So he's going to stand out more. You can see him a lot clearer. It was okay before because you did have that. You do have it in that bluish tone. I just feel like the orange might work a bit better. If I didn't like the orange, you could always move it across and just like slide this hue across and see what colors work. You know, that's pretty cool, that deep blue. Yeah, I think that the orange probably works better, just that warmer color. It doesn't have to be that intense though. I can always take it down a little bit, probably down to 60%. So yeah, so there's before and then after those changes. So Now you've got this nice sharp red highlight that comes up, and it really silhouettes him in a way, like it rides up the side of him, and it explains, you know, helps it read better. Now you know where the chest goes and the shoulder. You can actually see the shoulder now. Before, that shoulder kind of hides there. Same with the bicep. So you really want to make sure that all reads a bit better. I think when it comes to your cell shading, maybe it might look a bit nicer just to fade these off a bit. A little bit of a gradient. You don't want these super sharp cutted edges. They do work and they're fine, but I would probably blend it off just a little bit. Same here, these sharp kind of edges are a little bit too much. So I'm getting a soft brush, I'm just fading over them just to help them blend. I'm just trying to blend them in. But no, it does come across really nice, like a vector almost effect. But I think with a blend, it would look really nice. So apart from that, I think that's it, Matthew. I think you've done an amazing job, and that's really all I have to say about this piece. Is so that's the before there, and that's after. Just to help him pop a bit more, a few more neons in the background for the city, and then you're right. So yeah, thanks for your submission. I think that's great and well done. Next is Jason, and he's done Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. This is great. A nice close-up shot of Scorpion here. Yeah, this is good. Let's dive into the critique. So straight off the bat, I think it's the crop is the only thing that's kind of throwing me off here. I think it's the positioning. So if you look up top, there's a lot of empty space. So I probably would have had it more like, yeah, I reckon I would have done it more like something like that kind of crop. And then you could have his body kind of come out, so, you know, and then you could have that kind of thing, and just show a little bit more detail, I reckon, on his body. There we go. Sorry, I just realised I had my recording on pause, so I didn't actually get to record this part. But I just quickly sketched out this, trying to match this reference here, so we can see the chest and the torso a bit more, so you can really get that bust. I think it's a better crop, so that's the only problem with the first original, was I just feel like it was just off, you know. It feels like the camera's lifted up too high or something, and he's kind of coming off camera, like he's drifting off a bit. So the composition, I think, would look a lot better if it was held like this, so more of a bust. You get to see the chest now, more detail, and you can kind of even see his iconic Scorpion outfit there with the yellow. And it looks really cool. So I think that would be definitely a better way to go. Now, the next thing that I'd like to point out is probably just the line work. I feel like it's a little too thin. Let me show you how we can kind of fix that. I really want it to be held together a bit more. Okay, I'll just show you now. So that was without, just before I did that, and then with. And you can see it's only subtle, but it makes all the difference when you just kind of pull the lines together a bit more, make them a bit bolder and stand out. They can really help. So keep that in mind. Now, another thing when it comes to inks that I think would really work well for your art style, actually, is we can do some the shadowing with inks. So I'll show you what I mean. What if we did big, bold ones like this in just certain areas where it should be? So he's got like a black hood, so we can really make some black heavy choices here. So let's do it. So I've made some pretty bold choices here. So that's without these darker lines, but I think with would really add to your work. So the way it works is if you're rendering something that already is quite dark, start using heavier inks and even darker shadowing like this. And I think it would work really well for your stuff. This red here probably shouldn't be so dark. So I'm going to get, it's set to luminosity, this layer. So I'm just going to lighten that just slightly. See how it's kind of now a darker red? So I'm just making sure that that's not a stark black, because I don't think it would work so well. But definitely on the hood, keep that like a nice dark black. I can even lighten some parts if I want to bring it out a bit more. There we go. Now I think that works really nicely for your character, and we've got a lot more life in him now. And you know what? I would do it for sure. I would do it around his face here as well. So watch this. There we go. So I know that's quite dark on his mask. So again, I'm going to lighten that up. The layer is set to luminosity. So that means when I lighten the black to like a grey, it'll actually blend with the colour underneath. So when I lighten it, it's lightening to the gold now. So I just want to do a little bit of that so it's not so heavy. There we go. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just making a new layer. I'm setting it to multiply, and I'm also getting a solid thick brush. I'm setting it to about 50%, and I want to go over like this. I want to set a hood shadow. See, he's got one here, right over his face. I would love to see that, and I think it would really just make this piece. So let's put a nice big thick hood shadow over it. Maybe like that. I'd probably even go inside and fill in that red there. So I've just shadowed that red out. Probably just leave a little edge there. There we go. So that's good. All right, the only other thing that I would probably like to do is these eyes. I would love to see them kind of glow. So I'd love to see these eyes more of a white like this, you know. And I feel like these details in the face, they just need to be probably a little, like toned down a little bit. I'm just going to, there we go. So just have a look at the face. So that's without and then with. And without and with. You can see how just me lightening those little dark, the thin black lines that are on his face. I just wanted to lighten them just so it's not so intense. There we go. Oh, and before I do anything else, I just want to quickly soften out the shadow here. I feel like that's just a bit too sharp, so I'm just kind of blurring it just slightly, if you can see. See the shadow here? So, you know, it was quite sharp like that, but I kind of want to blur it just a little bit. Okay, so now for the fun part. I'm actually flattening all of this now, and I'll show you. I'm just going to get the dodge tool and the burn tool. Let's start with the burn tool. I'm going to take it to mid-tones, and now I'm going to play around with some stuff and just make this look, make it all work. Let's make it all work. So I'm just burning some of these edges, making them darker. Now I'm going to get the dodge tool, go over, give it a once over. Kind of like that. There we go, especially across the chest. And now I've made a new layer over the top. I've set it to linear dodge, and I just want to kind of give it some final touches. So I've got like a red. I'm just going to bring a red color maybe onto that side just a bit, like a hint of it, like that. There we go. And I'm going to just go around and start lightening some stuff up, making some, it's just some added effects. There you go. So without those effects, and then with, without, and with, you know, just want to add a little bit of an extra touch to it. Yeah, so that's probably all you would need. The final kind of final touches would be more like going around, getting a really, really thin pen, and just giving it a couple of highlights. Like I've just got like a brush that's set to quite thin. I'm just going around some of these corners and just touching, giving it a quick touch up to make it look a bit more metallic. And just getting the burn tool, and I'm just going on his mask now, and I'm just darkening a couple of areas that I think should have a bit more depth. There we go. And that's it. That's really all it needed. So, yeah, I just did those few touches there. So let's have a look at the before and after and see, yeah, what changes we've made. So that's when we started. So that's just before we started, and then now. So before and then after. And yeah, if you just look at the eyes, the white, how I've made them kind of a white glow now, it's more creepy. Before it was a bit too grey, I think. So we just needed to make them kind of pop a bit more. So there you go. And again, I think the biggest thing that we got out of this was probably with the grey hood and the darker kind of colours, add these really thick, bold, darker shading kind of things. So, and you'll see that a lot in comics as well. They really use heavy shadowing with inks. So practice that a bit, I think, and it'd be good. So yeah, I hope that helps, Jason. I think you've done a really cool piece here. I love Scorpion, and this was really fun to work on. So yeah, all right, thanks, mate. I hope that helps. Okay, next is Deegan. Look at this. I love this one. I saw your work on this through the month as well, through Discord, but this is amazing, and this is going to be a real challenge to critique, I can tell you that much, because there's really not that much wrong with it at all. I think this is just amazing. Look at that line work. So nice, so nice. And especially the city as well. You've just gone beyond, like, the stuff that you've done here. So yeah, you should be really proud of yourself with this one. All right, let's dive into a critique. One of the first things I'll mention is I love your webbing. I think you've done a great job of that. Just make sure when you get to it, you've probably thought of it anyway, But when you get to it and you do your colors, make sure you lighten them up. So I've just selected them and lighten the web, the inks of the webs up, so that it's not so dense and dark, especially the bolder lines that are in the center of it. Just lighten them up. See, I would probably even get the dodge tool. I'm just doing that now. So when you get into the center, so this part, I would probably lighten them right up, just so it's not so bold, and it kind of looks like the middle of the web is rounded, and then it's darker and denser on the outsides. So lighten them right up, and then you'll just be left with this nice texture of that long, like, even though it's quite bold, it comes out as rendering in the end. So that's worked out really well for you. See, because when they're quite dark and it's quite dark and bold through there, so we really want to make sure we lighten those up and keep the webs lighter and fluffy kind of thing. Not fluffy, but you know what I mean. I'd probably, so this back leg here that you've got, but when it gets up here to the crutch, I kind of feel like I need to see just a bit where that crutch joins. So I'd probably draw that in just there like that maybe, and then draw that little bit there. So that way, now we kind of see where the leg ends. That's kind of what I want to see. So what I mean about that leg is I just feel like it feels like it just keeps going. Do you know what I mean? It feels like it keeps going behind that knee. It just keeps going this way, and I feel like we're missing where the crutch is. So the crutch should be like there, and then we've got the other one, the starts about there. So ignore that knee and the leg in the front there, pretend that's not there for a second. So just think of it like that. So I feel like without that, so if I hide that, you can kind of see yours doesn't stop. It kind of looks like it keeps going. So that's kind of all I was trying to mention there. So if I put those little fixes in, you can kind of see now that's where I feel like the crutch should be there. I would probably even bring it down just a bit lower, actually, about there. And I'll just put the inks out that way, have that kind of stop there like that. That's better. And this one here, I kind of feel like we need to just smooth that out about there, and then have that kind of continue up to there like that. There we go. Yeah, that's better. So before, let me zoom into that crutch bit. So before and then after. So before and after. So it just feels like now we've got that hip in there where the hip's supposed to be. So that's good. Man, the rest is looking really good. Really nice bold lines. I think that's great. The best thing about them bold lines is it's like from a mile away, you can really see how held together it is. Really bold. And just remember as well, when you do your background, we want that back. As we get inside, I was a little concerned about these. They're getting quite thick, all these muscle lines. So I don't know whether we kind of thin them out a little bit, or if you do your final render, you just lighten them so that they kind of turn into rendering in a way. But maybe just thin them out just a little bit more. I like to make sure that any lines that are on the inside of a body are all a little bit thinner and not too thick and bold. It's really not much to fault here at all. It's a little harder to critique as well since we don't have colors, but I'll try my best. We've got our inks, so that's good. So yeah, I think again, I'll just mention the background should be, when you get to it, I've separated them now. So, you want to make sure there's that big difference between your Spider-Man and your background outlines. So I might even put a fade in, I'm just doing a light fade just behind Spider-Man to make him pop and separate him from those buildings. So there we go. So I think something like that's pretty cool. All right. Now, I feel like the crop is almost too tight, just a little bit. Yeah, that's it. So I've just figured it out. So the crop or the frame size that you've got is actually, it's too tall, a little bit too tall. So I like to make sure it's like my pieces are about A3 size, which is 29.7 centimeters by 42 centimeters deep. And yours is much thinner. You've almost cropped a bit at the side. So see this red here? That's the size it should be. So extend it out to the sides a little bit wider. I think this was the same with your Invincible Omni-Man one. It was just the crop was a bit too tight. So you'll get a little bit more relief, and it'll be much better for your piece if we do this. So we're going to make sure that your picture has a lot more room around it. See, that's nicer now. But I think Spider-Man does need to go just a little higher, just like that. So do you see how much I moved him from there to there? It's better now. You're moving that web away from that building. But it's mainly more about the positioning a lot better. There we go. I've just extended the buildings out to the sides a little bit more, so they work now. Yeah, I think that's a lot better, that crop. I think that's really good now. It's got some room to breathe. There's one more thing that I kind of want to try that I feel like I need to fix. This leg, I was worried about it. So maybe if it was just angled out a little bit more like that. I'm just going to see how that feels. I don't know. I just feel like it's a little more natural if we just tilt it just a bit more. I think that'd probably help a lot more, actually. I felt like it was just slightly awkward. Not too bad. It actually works. It's not something that stands out, but to give it a bit of relief, I thought maybe do that, but I'm not sure. I think that angle looks quite nice now. And it also allows us to, you can see more of where the crutch connects with the leg and the hips as well. But yeah, I think that's a bit nicer. There we go. And the only other thing that I think needs fixing as well, I'm also not 100% sure because it's pretty close, is just this back arm. I feel like just needs to be a little bigger and maybe tilted a little bit more. So I'm just going to see how that looks. Yeah, I think that's a bit nicer. So if I just go before, so it was that, I just feel like that back arm is just a little bit too small, just a little bit. And now, so I've just sized it up just a little bit bigger, and I also angled it a little bit more out that way. I don't know, I just felt like that looks a bit nicer now, but it's totally up to you as well. Yeah, so there we go, Deegan. That's really all there is. I cannot pick any more. Proportions are great. Body, face, I love it all. Details in the body are spot on. So nice. So yeah, my main concern with this was the overall document size and the setup. You know, it felt like it was too cropped in and tight on the sides. So let's look at the original. So that's the original, and you can see the size of the document that you've got. It's a little bit too tight on the sides. And then when I fix it to an A3 size, which is the poster size, like it's the real poster size, so that's a lot nicer. You get more room to breathe. He's still the same size, still nice and big. You just get a little bit more city, and it kind of just feels like it's more held together and nicer. So that leg, I think, might look a bit better if it was just tilted down just slightly like I've done it there. The back arm, a little bit bigger. Make sure them webs are nice and lightened up when you get to them. So we want to have nice soft webs. Kind of like how Ramos does them. I really have always liked how he does them. See, he's got quite bold lines like yours, but he's lightened the outlines right up. So I just like that kind of look. And I think it would work really well for yours. So keep that in mind as well. And yeah, and I just rose Spider-Man up just a little bit. Remember, I just kind of nudged him up just a little bit. So again, before and after. And I just think that might help. Yeah. Awesome work, Deegan. All right. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to see it coloured. And next we've got Cyril's artwork. Have a look at this. You've done an entire video game setup. So this is all the next gen characters for all the next gen games. And I know you mentioned it was unfinished, but that's okay. That's fine. It's a massive task. I couldn't expect this to be done in a month. But yeah, I love it, especially seeing, I forgot her name, from Resident Evil Village. And she looks great. You've done a good job there. And she was one of my favourite characters of the Next Gen series. I've been playing Ratchet and Clank lately, A Rift Apart, and that's been really good. And you got Aloy here. She's looking really cool. You got the Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We've even got Spider-Cat from Miles Morales in there as well. That crocodile, I think that's from the new Far Cry, I think. You got Clank down there. That's great. It's really awesome to see. This is kind of making me want to do something like this for sure. I love this so much. You've even got, that's the little Astrobot guy, I think, down there. And you've even got the Sackboy. Oh, cool. You've got the Xbox there as well, along with the PS5. Nice. Awesome. Let's try and get a critique going for you. Since it's unfinished, I'm not quite sure how far I can get with it, but I'll try my best. So far, I'm really liking your line work. I think you're nailing that, and well done. I can't really fault that. I think that's great. I think there's just a bit behind her there that needs to be filled in a different color, isn't it? Yeah, but that's fine. Now, when it comes to her face, I probably would... There, I just wanted to fix up a couple of things. So her nose and her eye were just a little out of shape there. So if I just zoom out and go back in, so her eye was just kind of going in the middle a bit too much. So it was almost in the center of her face. We want to push it over to the left a little bit more. So pushed it over there. There we go. So her face would be like that. We want to make sure it's like lined up a bit better like that. So before it was just a bit off. So if I just put that red back over, you can kind of see that the eye was leading off into the middle a little bit. So if we just adjust those, it's a bit corrected now, and it kind of helps to make sure that we draw the face first, so and then put something like a hat over, and that'll really make sure that it's accurate. I would also fix this hat a little bit, so I'd like to see it probably more. So yeah, because of the angle, I feel like the hat kind of needs to be like that. So if I'll just hide the face. So see the top of the hat here. I feel like before the angle is a little off. So because if you look at her face and the way her head sits, the angle goes like this, okay? The grooves in the hat kind of need to go that way as well, I feel. And her hat's pretty massive, so let's size it up a little bit more. There we go. And I'd love to see her eyebrows as well. We've got to make sure we get them eyebrows in. So I'll just draw them in here like this. There we go. That's much better. Yeah, heaps. So I'll just show you a quick before and after. So before and after. So before and after. So it just feels a little bit better with that hat now being going the right way with the grooves. And I also made the hat bigger, and I tilted that up a bit more. So you see you had a little bit too much showing under there, which also the angle of the hat's just a bit wrong. So I kind of fixed that and hid it more, so this bit's showing more. You want to see a bit more of the top of the hat. There we go. And the eyebrow, definitely the eyebrow. There we go. Now with the rest, I love it. You've got really nice line work. Again, it gets quite hard to critique. It's because it's unfinished. But let's go with Aloy then. We'll start with Aloy. There we go. So just with Aloy, I thought that her eyes were just a little bit too small and a little bit crooked there. A little bit of a bump in there and just there. And the eyebrows, I just wanted to fix those a little bit. So I've just straightened them out. I just made her eyes a little bit bigger. So just a little bit bigger and just kind of looking up a bit more. Because from this angle, she'd be looking up a little bit more. Her irises and the eyes will be kind of folded under the eyelids a little bit more, whereas the other one, they're kind of looking down a little bit more. Her eyeline kind of is kind of looking at the corner of the table down there, but I wanted them to go up a little bit more, and that'll resemble her kind of looking straight at the TV, because it's quite a big, tall TV. So now it'll look more accurate. So yeah, I just wanted to fix that. I also put a little bit of shape into her chin a little bit more, so it's not so rounded. Now, another thing I'd probably do with Aloy is probably just give her a little bit more. She needs a little bit more in her body. It's just coming through a bit flat through here. So there we go. So if you just have a look now, so before, you see how it's kind of a really flat through there, and her waist is too thin, and then after. So especially through the chest, that's the main part. So I've just bumped it up to be more realistic. There we go. And that should help a lot with that. That's better. So she's fixed. This guy looks good. I like the way he looks. I'd probably just, with the knuckles, maybe, we could probably tone it down a little bit more with the knuckles. So maybe get rid of that part there, just so it's not too much detail in the hands, because sometimes less is a bit more there. There we go. Now, just with Clank here, here's another one that I really want to fix. So everything's right with the body. I think the head just needs to be a little bit bigger. I'm also warping his head just a little. I feel like his top head needs to be bigger than the chin. There we go. So underneath his underbite was just a bit thick there, so I kind of did that, and we'll push that back down. Now, if you look at the picture here, you can see that his arms are quite short, actually, really stumpy and short, even his legs. There we go. So, sorry, I just kind of redrew a lot of it just to fix the legs. So if I just explain it. So that was before, and he's just a little lanky and his feet are a little bit too small. And then to match this one, I kind of just did it a bit more like that. So yeah, so he just needed to be a little bit more shorter in the legs and a little more clunky in a way. So there we go. Yeah, so before and then after. So before and after. Yeah, so that'll be a good thing to fix with Clank, and that'll make him look heaps better. I think you've done a great job. I can't wait to see this finished as well. So really good job, Cyril. I absolutely love it. Let's do a quick comparison before and after I did all the changes. So it was really with Lady Dimes, I can't remember her name. Her head, so before and after. There we go, or after. And Aloy and Clank. So yeah, I hope that helps. I hope that helps heaps, Cyril. All right, thanks, mate. I love your work. Keep it up. Okay, next is Apex Arts, and this is awesome. You've got Halo here. So I love Halo, Master Chief, and he's taken on this big brute here. So this is awesome. Yeah, really, really good work. You've done a nice full piece here overall. That is looking really good. So let's dive into the critique. Now, one of the first things that I notice is it's just dark overall. Really too dark, I'd say. I just did something really crazy. I thought I'd lighten it, but I went absolutely crazy intense with the light. But I kind of like it. I'm like, that's really good. So now you can see your line work really clearly. If you're putting all that effort in, I really want to be able to see that line work. Whereas before, it's too dim and dark. It's really dimmed down. So it just makes it less exciting. If things are too dark, it's a bit less exciting. So I like to have it nice and bright. Now, this is probably too bright, but I just thought I'd show you just to have a look. Let's kind of go halfway or in the middle somewhere. So I'll take that down to about, we'll go halfway, 50%. Now let me just merge that together. There we go. And what I want to do is I really want to light up that back again. I really, really want to lighten up behind them more. Actually, you know what? I actually think instead of lightening it up in the back yet, I think it would be best actually if you did that explosion more in the middle. So maybe I'll copy that, or no, let's just start a new one. And what if you had that in the middle, right in the center behind them, it would just really make this look so cool, this artwork. And you see the way I'm doing this explosion? I'm kind of just brushing in swoops of just circles and ovals and things. So, and then we're going to go over the top with a lighter color. Actually, what we'll do, we start with the darker around the edges. So we'll just do a couple of little dark bits like that. There we go. And then we're going to really get in there with this lighter kind of color over the top. So the more I go over, the more it's going to kind of blend them together, you see. And it's kind of making it look like a pretty cool explosion in a way. And then we're going to go in an intense kind of yellow in the middle. And I might even get my lasso now, and I'm just going to start selecting some more intense parts that and some parts that I don't want to affect as well. So that's kind of a good way to do an explosion. And then you'll just get your dodge tool in the end and do a big swoop over in the center of it, from the center out. And that's going to make it really kind of glow and pop. There we go. So there's a bit of an explosion, and if I just play around with the bottom of it, so I can make sure that it's not so perfect, I think we'll be okay. There we go. So something like that. So I kind of stole your explosion a little bit here and there, just in the back, along with mine as well. So that's mine there, and then I've just added a few extras, so I'll just fix this bit up here. There we go. Yeah, so I think that would look a bit better behind them. So if you just did something like that, and now I'm going to do a nice glow. I'll just set it to screen and just do like a big kind of bit of a glare behind them, and you'll see that it'll really bring them out. Like, make the most of these things, I would say, and you're going to have a really impactful image. Now, I'll just get the dodge tool onto your characters now. So I'm just going to dodge tool over Master Chief there, really lighten him up just around his body, and then this guy as well. And I'm actually going to darken down a little bit, just some parts of them. Perfect. Right, so I'll show you what it was just without that darken. So without the darken part, and then with. It's just subtle, but it really helps. Yeah, and that's mostly part of that there. So I'm just going to, I really want this, see that grenade in his hand? I really want that to be quite intense. So let me just do a couple of layer options and see what they look like. So I'm just going to set it to overlay. There we go. And now it actually looks a lot brighter. See, it wasn't dense enough, I don't think. So maybe I'll just take it back a little bit. There we go. But I really want to get in and make these neon nearly white like that. There we go. And I just think that'll really make it feel like it's lighting up. And a cool thing that you can do with that, like make the most of that blue light as well, is I'll just do a new layer and set it to screen, I think. Yep. And then we'll go around and I'll just do a little bit of a lighting effect. So it's light that's reflecting off that grenade onto his helmet. There we go. And I just think that'll give it a really nice final touch. Without and then with, you can see the difference. So it just adds that nice effect there. So yeah, but no, that's good, Apex. I reckon that's going to work out nicely. Another thing that I reckon would really help your picture is just to frame it a bit better using composition. So if you just had maybe some flying rocks, or these are foreground boulders maybe, and it's just kind of framing everything a little bit better. Now, what would make it look really cool is if you have it tuck over maybe the guy's foot just a little bit, like that. Yeah, probably like that, I reckon. And then have it come over, and this can just be whether it's rubble or rocks or something. And having it tuck over his foot like that really tells us that it's in the foreground. It's something that's in the foreground. And I'm just seeing what it might look like here, but that blue, that kind of blue glow, you've got all these blue lights beaming up in the sky. What if we had one really close to them that was just like launching past like that? That might look pretty cool, I reckon. I want to angle them a little bit more to make it more interesting. There we go. So I've just angled those beams a bit more. So we've got the framing around the front now. So I've got that beam, and I've got some rocks here. I want to make them rocks kind of look like they're flying a little bit more. So I'm going to grab them, and I'll just do a quick motion blur on them. Yeah, just a subtle little motion blur. There we go. That's better. And there we go. I reckon that's pretty cool. I think that's good for your piece. So let's have a look at the original. So that's what it was before I touched it, and then now. So again, I think having an explosion behind, it doesn't have to be dead center, but I just chose to. But yeah, I think that really helps lighten up them, makes them more silhouetted. Like, we can see this now from a long way away. Look at that. And you can really tell that there's something really interesting going on. The bad guys scruff Master Chief, and yeah. So really show it off, you know. You wanna like, and same with these beams coming through the sky, you know, make use of them, make them interesting, have them kind of like one shooting past them maybe. Yeah, and a bit of framing with the rocks in the foreground here. So yeah, I reckon that'll be it for that one, Apex. Awesome work too. So now that we've lightened up your characters, we're really showing off your line work, so you can see all those details that you've put into it now. So yeah, I think just try not to go too dim and dark with things, and you'll be right. Yeah, great work. Okay, thanks, Apex. Hope that helps. And next up is Andrew, and you've done Soul Reaper. This is cool. I love that game, and he's such a cool character too. Yeah, let's get into the critique a bit. Now, I really love the idea that you've got going on here with the big swoop. and it's all coming around, a lot of energy and power. It's very powerful. But I'm just finding it a bit hard to understand or just hard to read from the start. So this kind of takes over the whole streak. It just takes over a bit, whereas I would love to see more focus on the main character himself. And I think that would be a really good way to go. So let's try and figure out how we can make that and improve it. Okay, sorry, I've changed it quite a bit, but I just want to show you what I'm thinking. I reckon he'd be so much better if he was up front and center, like really big, not big, but like just sized up so you can see a bit more of the character himself. I reckon would be a really good way to go. Now, the other thing that I think it really needs is just that back arm. I can't really read it. I can't tell. If we look at the original and you look here, you can see, I know what you're trying to do. That back arm is supposed to be there. That's the fist, and it's pulling all the power around, but it doesn't read right, mainly because it's so faint. We can't see the fist. You can't really see the detail in it. So we'll really need to make it stand out. Since it's got all this power around it, we need to make that stand out so it's more readable. Yeah, so there we go. So it's quite messy and quite rough, but you can kind of see what I'm trying to go for here. A little bit more energy is kind of leaning forward a bit. You've now got a full view of our guy, and I think that's with the arm tucked sideways. I've got the colors wrong, sorry, but I kind of like it forward. Like imagine it kind of reaching out for you. The next thing I want to try is to get that kind of that energy effect that you've got. And you can see what I'm doing. I'm using your same swoop. Like you can still have it still there framing your piece, but not taking over the entire picture. So I'll have that there. There we go. So, sorry, I've done a bit of fiddling around. I think something like this might work really well. I've kind of lost those buildings in the back, but that's okay. If this was treated properly, I've gone really rough. I'm sorry about that, but you get the idea that it's all about the setup. So this whole piece is just about the setup. I feel like the original, like it was good, but it was just a bit hard to read, and you get a bit lost. You're not quite sure about the character himself. It's too much of the big swoop. So if we brought it all closer and more center focus, kind of like this, now it's exactly, you know exactly what's going on, and you could get a clear look at the guy, and you still get a sense of that big swoop as well that's swooshing around, and it's just framed nicer, and it's just a nicer image. And again, from far away, you can really still see what's going on, and you get that same sense of what you're trying to tell, with the big swoop, with his power fist. So, yeah. So I think that's probably a way that I would handle it. I hope that helps, Andrew. This one's more about setup. Next time I'll talk to you more about technical stuff if you like. But today I think it was really important to just highlight the initial composition and the setup and the idea behind it. So yeah, that was fun. I really like this guy. He's so cool. So hope that helps, Andrew. And thanks for your submission. Next up is Lily, and you've done Mario. I love Mario, big fan. And this is really good, really cool. Straight away, I can instantly recognize him as Mario. You've done a really good job of the likeness and just the cartoony style as well. So, yeah, well done with all that. Nice setup too. You've got an entire piece, like literally an entire picture set up here. I know it's not finished with the colors, but this is a good setup overall. Okay, let's get into a critique for you, Lily. Just a few proportion fixes here and there. I'll just start with the legs so you can see. I just felt like this foot here was a bit off, so I'll just show you how I'd probably fix it. You've got it here, you've got this perspective here of this controller, okay? So you've got that kind of perspective that we need to follow. You can kind of already see the grid right there. So let's try and follow that setup. You can also see the verticals. So that means when our foot comes down, it kind of actually needs to be placed, it kind of needs to be placed a bit more like flat like that, okay? So think of this as the sole footprint, and the footprint's going to go down like that, and there's the heel, okay? So it needs to be flattened down like that, but yours is kind of more, it's almost like resting on the horizon line, if you know what I mean, like directional across, whereas we need to have it flatter, almost a bird's eye view nearly. So if I just remove that part and start drawing the foot over the top, and now that works, okay? So if I just drew the sole of the foot down here. So there we go, you see what I mean there? I'll just take that and use it. There we go, so that's that foot. I'd also like to fix the other one, which is pretty right, but I just want to fix it a little bit. Okay, there we go. So I've just fixed those legs. So before and after. There we go. It was just this other leg as well. I just felt like I wanted to have it out more, like he's kind of surfing. Just a bit better placement, I think. The rest is just, your line work's really good. You're doing really good. Probably just needs a little more consistency in a couple of areas. Mainly, it's all I'm noticing really is just this arm down here. So that's a bit too thick across there. Let me just fix it up. There we go. So that's good. And just here, I kind of want to fix this glove. So I want it to be a little thinner up through there. And then as it gets toward the outside, I might have it thicker. I'd probably just go a little thicker around the outside of the face. There we go. You're so close though, so close. You're doing really good and I love it. So let me just show you really quick, before and after again. So just look at this arm here. So that's before and then that's after. So just a little neater. And another thing, actually, I've just talked about that line work, but I kind of want to do something more interesting with the arm itself. So let's try that. So if I were you, I'd probably try and make it a little more dynamic in the arm. So I just feel like that one's a bit flat, comes down. So let's try something fun. There we go. Yeah, so if you just look at the hands, I've just fixed them. So just before I felt that just a little bit stiff, but not too bad. But then, so I just thought if we add a little bit more motion, lift them up like he's balancing or surfing on the controller. So really lift his arms up and add a little bit of 3D to them. Do you know what I mean? So the fingers are kind of coming at you more and they're folding over each other, just to get some really interesting hands, because I find that they're kind of like a real focal point. Usually when people look at characters, hands are important. And if you do good hands, it can really make them it makes your picture stand out. And it also makes them more interesting as well. So yeah, playing with that foreshortening a bit more would be really cool like that, I think. That'd be a lot of fun. So that's a good way to do it. I haven't really done the line work properly. I've just kind of roughed them in, but if the line work was as good as yours there, that'd top them off. I think it'd make them look great. So yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, apart from that, I think everything else is looking really good. The face is top notch. I don't have any comments about that. It's really just the feet and the hands. So, the perspective, the perspective of the feet, the way you view them, and the legs. So yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, I hope you finish this one day. I think it'd be great, Lily. I think it's really good. So yeah, it's awesome to see some video game fan art. So thank you. I appreciate that. I hope that helps. And yeah, thanks for your submission. And last in the critiques, we've got Abby. You've submitted this one. Just made it just in time. I was about to finish the video. So that's good. You made it. Awesome to see some more work from you. Now, I think this is this Pokemon? Is that right? I think I know what this character is, but I'm not sure. But let's do a critique. I'll tell you what though, Abby, you have improved so much. Every time you submit, you're doing much better. I mean, have a look at this line work. It's really, really nice and sleek. It's bold. Like, you've really improved since the first few goes. This line work's looking really nice. It's actually making your character pop out more if you have a look at it from a distance. It actually looks like a sticker. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really... and I think that has a lot to do with your the render. You've got like a little bit of a shadow that's also added in there, and that highlight really tops this off, makes it look nice, really nice and sleek. So I think since you're doing so well with your line work now, you've got that to a level where I think it's great. I think it's good. I think we should focus more now on trying to level you up. Let's get you onto rendering and try and make these shadows work a bit better. So I've made a selection of just the inside of your character. Just let me find a nice shadow level that I'm happy with. I think something like that. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to get that color. All right, we're ready. All right, so what we want to do is try and push your shadows in a bit more. So it looks like you've got them just tucked up under the outlines a little bit more, but I think you should bring them in a bit further at certain parts. So we've got to find a good understanding of where they belong. So what I would do is bring it in, go like this. So bring the shadow in a bit more and under the arm, and then we'll stop, that kind of thing, you know. We're trying to turn this into like a cell shaded character. Now, definitely under the legs here. So think of this kind of thing. So under the legs, definitely would have a bit of shadow. So let's go quite bold with that. And now when we get to this leg that's folded, we wouldn't touch this part because that's where the light will hit. So we'll go on the other side here. So I would love to see your work kind of go more to this level where we really bump up that shading, and we'll try some more cover more area, you know what I mean? And I think that'll really help your work. I'll show you how what kind of effects we can get at the end here. See, when we get to these balls, these little balls on the end of his feet, let's try and make them, like, put the shadows underneath, but keep the tops clear, and that'll make them feel like they're rounded now, and they're like spherical almost. There we go. So that's all you really need to do. I'll just hide that. So that was just before we started doing that. And then I add that one level of shading. That's really all it needs. And look at that. It already looks like it's come to life a bit more, you know. It's more rendered. And that's just with one level of cell shading. I reckon you should try and practice that. I'd love to see you try and push your shading a little bit further. But yeah, I would love to see you kind of do that. And then if you want to, we can even do, if I just make a new layer, I'll set it to screen. And I'll take it down to 50% opacity. There we go. And we could do some highlights as well. So I'll just use a white and I'll just go over. And I'm just touching on a few areas here and there. And I don't really like, I've just got it set to white. Maybe I should set it to like this blue color. Let's try that. Yeah, that's better. So I actually used this blue, this light blue you've got, and then it's still set to screen. And then I'm just going through and I'm doing the same thing that I did with the shadowing. So I'm just doing the same thing, but I'm just doing it on light areas now where I think light should hit. See, that looks cool now. So I'll zoom out and I'll show you with and without just the, see, that's the lighting. This is just the lighting. So I've added that level of lighting and look what it's done. So it's really, really brought this guy to life. And I'll show you without. So before we even started today, I'll show you that's where we were. And that's where it is now. So look at that. So it's a big jump in rendering. And it doesn't take too long either. It's just like a once over. It takes 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. And then you've got that next level. So I'd love to see you do a bit of that, Abby. And yeah, I think your character looks really cool. I love it. You've done a good job. All right. Thanks for that. And yeah, I hope that helps. And the last critique, we've got Eric, and you've done this one here. This is a bloater from The Last of Us. This is cool. It's massive. And yeah, look at him. He's gross. He's absolutely horrifying. Yeah, this is cool. And I think this might be where you shine a bit, because I just love look at all these details. You've really, looks like you quite enjoyed doing all of this stuff. So, yeah, really cool. Let's have a look and see what we can do to help improve this. Let's start by adding one level of, how am I going to do this? Yeah, I'll do a stroke on the outside. All right, to start with, I really want to see, I like to see like nice outlines on the outside. So so that's without and then with. And I've just added in some thicker outlines on the outside of your character just to help hold it together a little bit more. Doesn't even have to be that thick. Like, I'll probably remove the lines that you've got on these hairs. So we don't really want them to be outlined. I kind of want to keep them nice and thin because they look good. All right, and another thing, just before I continue with some line work, I want to quickly just make a couple adjustments. So this arm over here, I feel like it's just out a bit too much, too far. So I'll bring it in, make it nice and chunky still. All right, there we go. I've made quite a few changes there. So that's the original, and that's where I am now. I felt like his feet were just a bit too thin, so I made them really thick, kind of thickened them out a little bit more. Brought that arm back in a bit more as well, so I just felt like it was a bit too far out. And I also bloated up his guts a bit more, so he's a bit bigger and wider, and yeah. The only other thing, I just want this arm to be a lot smaller. This hand, sorry, the hand. I think the arm also needs to come down to about there, I reckon. So probably about down to there. Yeah, there we go. All right. So I'll just show you what we had just before I did all that. So the arm, just this hand here was that before, and now it's that. So the thickness of the arm itself is bigger now, and the hand is a bit smaller. It's just more natural now. All right. The other thing I want to do with this guy is I feel like overall, let's just fix up some of the line work a bit. I'll just show you what I mean. Basically, we want to continue it so some of those bits go through like this. So under the head, we want to show that there's a bit of an under the head part there. So if I thicken these lines up, it kind of gives the impression that there's a chin under there that's, it's a little bit more shadowy here. Now this cauliflower kind of thing, we can have another bit of the outline come down here and also do the same thing. So basically adding some dimension into the line work. Now the next thing that I really want to do is I feel like overall the coloring, like you've got it all rendered, which is cool. You've got this nice painted look, but for some reason it still comes across a bit flat overall. So, and the main reason for that is it's hard to tell where the light source is coming from. So we need to kind of make that a little clearer. And the way to do that is I'm just going to make a new layer, multiply. I'm setting it to, might put it down to 50%, and I'm just going to use a gray. Actually, I'll probably use like a darker, yeah, there we go. And I'm just going to start shading around one side. I'm going to choose a side to have the shadowing hit most. So I'm going to go on the right side. That's usually my go-to. And I'm going to start just shadowing all the way around so that we can get a sense of dimension. There we go. So I'll just show you, I've just done one level of shading. So just to kind of give it more dimension. So that's without and that's with. And you can kind of see now it's giving it more dimension in a way. I might just soften up a few of these edges just so it looks a bit better. Because it's not really your style. I've made mine a bit too sharp. There we go. Yeah, so basically this will give it a lot more dimension in a way of just the shadowing and stuff like that. Especially under the belly. You see here, now when there's a big, this guy's massive, he's got a big belly. So that belly, we want that to fold over. So you're going to need a lot of shading underneath there. So that's kind of like, I've really shadowed it under there. So his crutch is nearly darkened right out. And especially when the knees are folded, you're going to have them nearly faded out. Yeah, like that. So you really only get the top of the thigh and that will have a bit of light on it. And then the shins are actually going to be almost grayed out, darkened out. And that'll really show the bend in the knee as well. So you see what I mean? It's just helping to add a little bit more dimension, makes it easier to read. Now, if I get that again, and I'll just do something. I want to try and lighten it up now. So I'm going to get the dodge tool. I'm just setting it to highlights. And now I'm going to go over it with a once over on these with this. I'm going to go right through the center just to give it that bulge, you know. I really want to lift it out and lift his guts out a bit more. There we go. And that's going to help a bit. And I want to keep the lower half of him quite dark. So I'm going to actually get the burn tool now. Set it to highlights. And now I'm going to go over again and do this. I want the bottom half of him to be quite dark. Like he's, you know, top heavy. And he's leaning over a bit, so the shadows are going to go down a bit more. So I think that's okay. All I want to do now is get the saturate tool. I'm going to start to bring some of these colors through a bit more. Yeah, that's nice. There we go. So now he looks even more gross. We're bringing through those nice colorful. See, his head should have a lot more color through it as well. That cauliflower effect, you know, the weird kind of, yeah. Let's do it through him a little bit more. There we go. See, I think that's quite nice now. I think that looks pretty cool. Okay, so let's do it before and after, and I'll show you just what we've done. So that's when we started. That's what it was there. You can see the outlines are not really there. They're kind of lighter, so it's a bit more of a lighter, softer edge, and I kind of wanted it to be held together more, so I thickened up the outlines on the outside. And what else did we do? We just changed the proportions a bit, and I've colorized it, fixed that arm with the foreshortening, and yeah, and so on. So and a lot of it was with the dimension, with the just adding that shadowing properly around the under the belly and just around the side of him. Now we have a light source and a bit more shadowing, so he's got more depth to him now. It was a little bit flat before, so I might even take the saturation down just a little bit more. I just want to like muck around with him a little bit more. Might make him a little bit lighter. I feel like he was too dense. Yeah, that's a bit better. There we go. So there you go, Eric. I hope that helps. Helps you get a few more tips. I think the only other thing would just to get a bit more clarity, you know, like I might even try and sharpen him up, give him an unsharpened mask, but really comes down to line work. I think if you really focus on your line work a little bit more, so I just did a little sharpen, that helped a little bit, but yeah, if we get some finer, sharper lines, that'll look really cool with that, all that detail. Just imagine, like, it already looks really good, but imagine if that was sharper, cleaner lines. Man, it would pop. It would look great. So yeah, hope that helps. I reckon that's a fun one. That was really fun. So yeah, good work. Awesome. And that's it. That's all of our submissions. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. So thank you everyone who submitted. I hoped the critiques helped you a bit as well. Yeah, that was so much fun. I love it. Video game fan art. There we go. I'm really looking forward to this next one. We've got 1 year, the 1 year anniversary of our monthly projects. Is coming up next month. So I need to organize all the brief and everything like that, get that ready. And I'm going to assign everyone a character and we're going to go from there. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to have one giant picture. I'll come up with some kind of backdrop or a background, but each of you guys will have a character to do yourself. You can spend the month, go and draw one of these characters, and then we'll send them all in, submit them. I will put it all together into one massive picture, so we've all got a collab. Every character is going to have a different style, you know, a different art style from each of us. So we're going to mash them together, and they're all going to be whatever they're doing, leaping toward the camera, yeah, stuff like that. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that one, and I'll come up with the details soon. All right, that's it. And I'm looking forward to that. And thank you all for submitting to this one. And I hope you all have a good day. I'll see you next time.